I'm Peter.
Hi, I'm Stacey.
And this is
The Well Aging Reports.
So today we're going to talk about fitness over 40 and the changes that you need to make as you get older. What have you found in terms of aging? How have you changed your routine, your fitness routine?
For me, there are definitely certain things that I avoid and certain things that I have incorporated.
Right.
I would say one of the main things I avoid now is plyometrics, a lot of like bouncing and jumping, making sure that, I've always warmed up and stretched after work, but making sure that I really do have my recovery days added in. Right. Challenges, are maintaining that muscle mass, a little harder to drop body fat than before. So
Yes.
Things like that, but definitely making sure that I have my recovery days in. And probably not as intense of a workout, and so just a little more of that low intensity workout, but still getting in my strength training.
Right. So Are your workouts shorter now than years ago?
Yeah. So no longer do I see the need to spend an hour and a half in the gym.
Right.
Usually the longest I might be at the gym is an hour. Also because my schedule is a lot different now. So now that I have a child and a mom, I don't have that extra time. So condensing my workouts and really knowing what I'm doing when I go in. So, usually, 45 to an hour, depending on the day and what I'm doing. But I can remember days where I might be at the gym like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'm like, what was I doing?
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
So I similar situation. I try to avoid plyometrics. That's occasionally I'll do it. Like if I can't get to a gym,
right,
and I want to increase the intensity just for that day, I might do some plyometrics, but not on a constant basis.
Yeah. And I work out on a reformer. So on the Pilates reformer, we have what we call our jump board. So you're laying on your back and you actually jump on the reformer. So if I want to get my heart rate up and get some kind of jumping and having that impact, because there can be benefits to it, I'll do it that way so it's less impact on my joints. I also dance. So today I taught a dance class and that's where I got my jumping in. I did some jumps with a bunch of 5 and 6 year olds. So that was fun. But other than that, I avoid a lot of the,
Yep, same thing
high intensity
here.
plyometric jumps.
Yeah, so I've seen the same thing as I've gotten older. I've lost some muscle. If you saw pictures of me when I was in my 20s, I was way more muscular.
Yeah.
So it's been harder to maintain that muscle. I don't have the same strength as I did when I was in my 20s. So, and you know how it is, the fast twitch muscle fibers are the first to go when you lose that muscle as you get older. So I make my workouts shorter in duration. They're actually probably more intense because I take less rest in between sets now. When I was younger, I took more rest and it was more power based and more bodybuilding like workout. So in that respect, it's a little more intense. It's more efficient, I'd say. Yeah,
you were just saying that when I said they're not as intense, they actually probably are for the same reason.
Yeah.
Less rest periods, and they're more efficient. So, you could be at the gym for 2 hours, but how efficient and effective was your workout? Yeah. Whereas now, it's definitely more focused and planned, and it's more effective and efficient, and basically it gets the job done.
We don't have time to waste anymore.
Right, you don't have time to waste. You don't have time to waste.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay. And then, of course, the other thing that I've noticed is a decrease in mobility and flexibility.
Yeah.
So those are things that I put extra effort into now as well, just like you. More recovery, more flexibility training. So that's essential as you get older.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you were mentioning, what have I incorporated? Definitely more balance work. That's super important as you get older for everybody. Having a strong core to help with balance. So a lot of core work with the Pilates that I do, and even when I'm doing my strength training days, core work, but incorporating, balance work as well. Nobody wants to fall and get hurt.
Yep. I do the same thing for my older clients. I always incorporate like the BOSU, more balance training, just more variety in terms of training. We do like more movement-based workouts, whereas, like when I was younger, it was more bodybuilding based. It was just focusing on the one muscle group and just concentrating on that, not much range of motion in it, which is really bad when you think about it. As you get older, that's not what you want to do. You want to do more dynamic movements. Yeah. What would you say are like do's and don'ts for people over 40?
What I always recommend, we'll start with the do's. Always try to have something to eat. Some people, they want to do their fasted cardio, which definitely has its benefits, but if you're coming in to strength train, you should have something. It's going to help fuel your workout. It's going to give you energy. The worst thing is to come in and you can't really even do your workout because you're just so tired, or you're getting lightheaded, or you're getting dizzy. So have a little something. You always want to warm up and prep the body. You want to come in and make sure that your joints are warm, your muscles are warm, that you've got blood flowing. You always want to stretch and do some kind of cool down, after a workout. And also, you don't ever want to come into your workout and stretch what I say are cold muscles. So I have some people that come in and they just want to start doing these static stretches. I'm like, do a little warm up first, whether you're walking on the treadmill or just do some squats and lunges and then go into that stretch. But just coming in and going in, trying to go into a split, I'm like, you're making me nervous.
Especially people from our generation, we were brought up believing that you're supposed to stretch before you work out. That's what they used to teach back in the day. And then they changed that, so it's more like a dynamic warm-up first that involves the movements that you're going to be doing. And then you could think about stretching if it's a stretch-based workout. You never want to go in cold and stretch the muscles.
So basically what I always say, just get the blood flowing, get the body warmed up. So, for people that like to get that stretch, and I get it feels good, definitely, get some movement first. So walk on the treadmill or ride the bike for 5 minutes. If, you don't want to do any cardio, just do some body weight squats, some lunges, do some side lunges, take your arms over your head and twist, and then go into a stretch. Hip circles are great as well. We want to keep those hips mobile, get some blood flowing around that joint, the hip joint.
Arm circles.
Arm circles as well,
You could do plank rotations. You could do air squats.
Getting the spine warmed up is essential too, especially if you're going to be doing squats and deadlifts. You want to make sure that the spine is warmed up, that the core is warmed up to help stabilize the spine. So I may have people do, and myself, do a cat-cow movement, whether it's kneeling or standing, some rotation, whether it's a lunge with a slight rotation, to get that spine warmed up, because you're prepping the body to work in all planes.
That's right.
And you want to have the spine move, especially when we're doing Pilates, have the spine move in all directions. So.
Right. And then to go on a little further about like the pre-workout meal, because a lot of people talk about that and they're not sure what to do. Get my clients ask me that all the time. Should I be fasted? Like, especially if it's a person in the morning. Should I work out fasted? And I usually tell them no if it's a strength training workout. If it's an aerobic workout, you could do it fasted. But if it's a strength training workout, you should definitely have something. I usually recommend like citrus fruits that are easy to absorb. You have it about a half hour before, and then you could combine that with something like glutamine. Glutamine is an amino acid, as you know, that is the primary amino acid in your muscle. So if you take it before you work out, you're less likely to break down excessive muscle, and it's going to actually give you energy for that workout as well. So that's anything you want to add to that?
A lot of my clients, they want to come in, same thing, they like, can I come in fasted? And I'll agree with you that if you're doing cardio, fasted cardio is okay, but if you're going to do strength training, have a little something. A lot of my clients, they just want to have a quick shake. I'm not opposed to a shake. Some say, well, then I feel weighted down. I'm like, well, then just do half the shake. You don't have to drink the whole thing. I had one client, she was putting 2 bananas in her shake. We had to kind of change that. I'm like, how are you drinking 2 bananas? One, a lot of sugar. 2, I just didn't think it was necessary, especially if weight loss is your goal. You want to be mindful of the amount of sugar that we're taking in. But again, getting back to the pre-workout, you want something that's going to be easy to digest, that the body's going to absorb quickly, but that's also going to give you energy. So citrus fruit, yes, is great. If you want to have the banana, do a half or a quarter in your shake. If you're going to do a shake and you don't want the whole shake, just do half of it. Some of my clients that try not to do a lot of supplements, meaning they don't want to do a protein powder or a shake, they just want to have whole food, which is their choice, I'll say, then maybe just try some avocado toast. So you're getting the healthy fat to help fuel the strength training day. You've got, if you use the Ezekiel bread, a better source of carb, and it's also a complete protein. So, your body's going to absorb it and use it as fuel as opposed to just sitting there like a rock in your stomach. Right. But there's also getting that healthy fat that you'll need for your workout. I have some clients, they'll do, a minimally processed, just, brown rice cake with a thin layer of nut butter on it. And then I just basically, tell my clients, myself as well, you want to have, healthy complex carb, moderate healthy fat, moderate protein, and just think of that like in your pre-workout meal or snack.
And it all depends on how much time they have too before
as well,
the workout.
Right?
So if it's only a half hour, that's when I'd say citrus fruits
something small,
and glutamine, something simple that'll get digested quickly.
Absolutely.
If it's like an hour, they have an hour or an hour and a half before, then they could have a shake, and it's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, I say that as well. Like if you have any less than a half hour, you want to avoid like anything heavy. Just be mindful, know your body. So if you've only got a few minutes, like don't try to down a shake. Then yes, absolutely.
And the reason being, if you have something that's hard to digest before you work out, then your body is competing with digestion and muscle contraction. And you're either going to get nauseous, throw up, or the other way. It's not a pleasant thing. And then your heart rate is it's working really hard. So it's definitely no good. Yeah,
and everyone's different. Again, like knowing your body, listening to your body, and as you mentioned, how much time you have. So again, if you have like less than 30 minutes, don't have something super heavy.
Right.
If you've got a little bit of time, if it's 30 to 45 minutes or so, or if you have the luxury of an hour, then you can have more of a meal as opposed to like a quick snack.
Exactly.
But again, just that pre-workout meal, it shouldn't be anything super heavy that's going to be hard to digest. Like I wouldn't recommend, having steak and eggs before your workout.
Exactly. And then another thing that I try to include now with all my workouts is recovery. So using a foam roller or a Theragun, massage gun, because that's going to help you speed up recovery. It's getting blood into the tissue. There was a study in the Journal of Athletic Training that showed foam rolling after a workout prevents soreness. It prevents DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. So it's been shown in studies to work, and I use it now. I never used to do that when I was younger. Used to just come to the gym, work out, no warm up, just leave. Now I have to warm up. I have to do some kind of either massage gun or foam rolling. Otherwise, I'm going to be sore.
You're going to be you're going to be sore. And then, if you're trying to get workouts in 5 days a week, being super sore the next day for your workout,
it's not going to work.
You're not going to have again the most effective, efficient workout. So foam rolling is definitely key. Like you said, it gets blood flowing, it helps to kind of release that tension. Getting back to meals though, so we talked about our pre-workout. What would you recommend for post-workout?
Post-workout.
That's always a big question I get. What should I have after?
So that's the one time I tell my clients, if you're going to have simple carbs, that's the time to have it. Because you're after a strength training workout. If it's aerobic workout, that's different. You should just eat what you normally eat. There should be protein in the meal, but it doesn't have to be like a ton of carbs or anything like that, because your muscles weren't using the glycogen as much. It goes more into fat storage. So after a workout, I recommend like fruits, because it's higher in sugar, and a protein powder. So a smoothie basically.
Right after the workout?
Right after the workout.
And then what about that window that, do you believe in that 2-hour window that they should be getting like a full meal with protein?
I think it does help.
Yeah.
Because there have been times when I've worked out and not eaten properly, and I did get more sore, and it took me longer to recover. So I always recommend try to get it in like within 45 minutes. That meal, the post-workout meal. And the grams, that's all relative to the person's weight, their goals, and all that. Right. But anywhere from 20 to 40 grams of protein and like 40 to 60 grams of carbs after a workout.
Right. And again, your carbs are coming from a healthy source of carbs. So, your vegetables and if you're having fruit. But yeah, I would agree. Like if you know that it might be some time before you can actually get a meal, so sometimes if you're on the go, then you have that shake. Because you do want to have that protein to support our muscle mass and muscle growth and recovery. And then if you know you're going to be able to have a meal, then yes, you do want to have, protein with your meal, of course your healthy carbs. And keep in mind, a lot of people, like the word carb scares them away, but the majority of our plate is going to be carbs. It's just the source of carbs that we want to be mindful of. And
it depends on your goals too. Like if you're trying to lose weight, you may want to do less carbs.
Right.
But when you have those carbs is super important.
Super important, yeah.
So if you surround your workout with the most carbs out of the day, so that's when you should have most of your carbs around your workout. The rest of the day, you don't really need to have that much if you're trying to lose weight.
Right. And when I refer to carbs, I mean like, your vegetables. Have as much vegetables as you want. So when you're having your source of carbs, it should be vegetables, getting your fiber.
Yeah, I don't even count vegetables as like a carb. So if you're having spinach or kale or broccoli, there's virtually no carbs. It's more fiber, nutrients. So I don't really count that as a carb anyway.
Yeah, see, that's not a carb, that's processed food. So we think a little differently maybe. So when I think of breads and muffins and bagels, to me that's not a carb, that's a processed food. Your carbs are, coming from your vegetables, where they're also going to give you nutrients and fiber. So, when people say 60% of my plate should be carbs, yes, vegetables. That's what we mean.
Yeah, you really don't need as many carbs as the government will make you believe.
Processed. So again, if you want to think about carbs, when you hear that word, I need to have carbs, the source that they're coming from, and you want to think about what a processed food is, there's a difference. So your pizza, your pastas, I'm not saying that you can never have it, and it also depends on what your goals are.
Right.
Just be mindful of that.
In terms of the workout, for men especially, but this also pertains to women, as you get older, your hormones decrease. But exercise boosts your hormones. And there are certain compound exercises that boost your testosterone if you're a male, and growth hormone, which is good for both men and women, because it's like a youth hormone right there. So you definitely want to do exercises that will increase those hormones. And some of those exercises are squats, deadlifts, push-ups, pull-ups, and one that I like is called man makers, which is like a combo of everything. Super intense. But as you get older, you can't really do the squats the way you may have done it when you were in your 20s. So I used to do back squats.
Are you doing back squats these days?
No, I don't do those anymore. So I might do front squats holding kettlebells or dumbbells. I'll do deadlifts with a kettlebell or a hex barbell. Push-ups, that's pretty much the same. I'm not doing plyo push-ups much anymore. Although, that's good when you're younger. When you get older, you don't want to do that. But pull-ups is another one, and the man makers, of course, which is a push-up, Renegade Row, and then you go into a squat position, you curl, and then you press, and then you start over. So it's got the whole gambit.
I do a similar where you kind of jump back to a plank, you jump your feet back in, and you just do the bicep curl. And then, so similar. We don't do the press though, but I'll have to add that. But similar workout, always incorporating a squat, a deadlift, some type of lunge, a lateral movement, so usually some type of side lunge, a push and a pull. So yes, I do push-ups, not my favorite, but I do them.
Pull-ups?
Pull-ups, I do assisted pull-ups. So I have a little bit of a shoulder issue, but they are super important. So, do my pull-ups. Sometimes I'll do a seated row for a pull, but just incorporating that push-pull, but always some kind of squat and a hip hinge, a deadlift, and some type of lunge, some type of single leg work.
Okay. So what about Pilates? You do that?
So Pilates,
do you think that Pilates stimulates hormones the same way as like strength training, or no?
So it's resistance training. So you work against spring tension.
Right.
So I would agree that it probably would stimulate the same way that strength training, because you are working against spring tension.
Okay.
And there's that constant resistance. So you have constant resistance on the pull and the push, or the eccentric and concentric. So the muscles are always working.
Another good point with that is with that constant tension, what that does is it stimulates the mitochondria within the cell, and that's the fountain of youth within your cell. So if that's working properly, you're going to stay more youthful. So I would say it's definitely, Pilates should be considered a youth stimulating exercise.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why it's such a great recovery workout, but you're still getting a workout, so it's that active recovery.
Right.
But with the Pilates workout, again, it's a full body workout. It's definitely going to help to create and lengthen, or help create long, lean muscles, help lengthen the muscles, help you maintain that definition. As well.
We can see that with you.
As well as building a strong core. But we talked about range of motion.
Yeah.
So it's great for range of motion, flexibility. It can help improve flexibility. It can help with balance. So many, many benefits.
So you're basically saying I should be doing that.
Yes. Everyone should do. Pilates is for everybody. But also, as we get older, it helps with balance, and also with mind function. So you also call it mindful movement, that mind-body connection, being able to hear a cue, and that's also with strength training as well, but hear your instructor give you a verbal cue and then apply it to your body. So you're constantly thinking. So it does help with brain function. So great, as we get older, we want, to maintain
that's a good point.
Healthy brain function.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
And that's where
listening skills.
That's where kettlebell training could also apply, because there are very complex movements with kettlebell training if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of mind-body connection there.
Yeah, because you don't want to end up
it's heavy weight too.
Throwing them back out, or a lot of focus.
So as we get older, we try to work out more efficiently now as well. And one of the ways to do that is to use more advanced techniques, like time under tension, which is basically Pilates, or any exercise that you do for an extended period of time. Incorporating giant sets, not to be confused with supersets. So giant sets are like, let's say you're doing chest fly, and you superset it with giant set it with a push-up. So you're doing the same muscle group, but you're doing two different exercises for it. So you're totally exhausting the muscle. Yeah, so it's kind of like time under tension, but you're incorporating two different exercises.
Right.
As opposed
so
to
same
one.
muscle group, two different exercises.
Right. Yeah. And then the other techniques like negatives, doing super slow negatives.
Yeah.
That's very useful. And incorporating those compound exercises that increase hormones, but of course modifying it for your age.
Right.
So, like we talked about before, you want to do a hex deadlift, a hex bar deadlift, as opposed to a straight bar deadlift. Much easier on your spine.
Yeah.
So, so that's some of the things that I do now to increase the efficiency and intensity of the workout. Anything you?
Very similar. So we were talking about no longer doing back squats, with a bar across the shoulder blades, doing the front squat. I'll do squats with the hex bar as well. I get a little deeper into the squat, but it just is it's less stressful on the spine. We also talked about doing deadlifts, so kettlebell deadlifts, less stress on the spine. You know, lunges, so I'll no longer do lunges with a bar again across my back, you know, hold the dumbbell side by side. Just being mindful, and even with my shoulder press, so I mentioned I had a little shoulder issue, being mindful of, you know, your grip, so as opposed to having a wide grip, just bring those elbows in a little bit if you need to. If you hear any grinding or popping or clicking, stop doing it. You know?
I agree, totally. So I guess what we could do now is get practical and let's show people what we do.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, let's get to it.
Let's go.